Welcome, Descendants. Today, we are going to be touching on the very bottom of the brand new 1.0.5 patch notes where we get the director's additional comments. In it, we talk about drop rate improvement plans that are going to be seen in Seasons 1 and 2, disposing of leftover items, so all the blueprints you've gotten so far that you don't want or need anymore, and much more being touched on by the director himself, Min-Suk Jo. If any of that interests you, make sure to stick around for the rest of this video as we're going to be discussing all of that and more. And if you want me to cover the entirety of the patch notes, definitely go ahead and leave a comment. And if enough of you are interested, I'll go ahead and do just that. Quick shout out, I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you guys so much for the support on the recent videos. Let's go ahead and try to reach the like goal of 30 likes for this video in particular. So it would be amazing if you guys could just scroll down for a brief second and click on that thumbs up and make that thumbs up glow. And while you're down there, consider subscribing for more coverage on the First Descendant and AAA games that come out throughout the rest of the year. But without further ado guys, let's get right into the director's additional comments. Greetings, this is the First Descendant director Min-Suk Jo. Today I'm going to outline the dev team's plans for the issues that are discussed frequently by the community. The team is currently working on Season 1 and 2 updates while also responding to improvement issues discovered during the live service. Today, I'm going to talk about more how we plan to improve the current state of the First Descendant rather than about the Season 1 and 2 updates. Now guys, it may not seem like much, but that first part was very important. Whether it be through the comments on their videos, through Reddit posts, or videos of creators, they are listening. A lot of the major things that people are talking about that they don't like about the game are being addressed here in the director's additional comments. And I think a lot of you guys are going to like what they have to say for this. First and foremost, we've got their drop rate improvement plans. While all of our drop rate systems are operating fairly in the First Descendant and they're sticking by that, we do understand that some players are struggling with the vagaries of drop rate. I think they mean the variance or the variety of drop rates. To address this, we're planning to introduce a new system where you can more easily get the item you want after repeating the activity a certain number of times. The First Descendant has various missions and amorphous materials with chance-dependent rewards. We're considering how we can effectively take care for the drop rate issue in such diverse reward systems, and we're working to create a farming structure that players will be happy with. We hope to make improvements before long to provide a more rational and satisfying farming experience. Now just off rip guys, a personal take of mine, this sounds amazing. The system that I think is going to go into effect here is the more that you do a certain mission or a drop or avoid intercept battle, whatever it may be, the more that the lower percentage items get boosted up with more and more attempts. Now to what that percentage is going to be, whether it will have a cap, or how many times you'll have to do a run in order to see these numbers bump up, that is all left to be determined by the development team over at Nexon. I'm sure they're going to be doing extensive research on their end in order to see how much they can bump it up without basically just handing over these products after a certain amount of time, as this game is meant to be a grindy looter shooter. But overall, I think this is going to be a big W for not only Nexon, but the community as a whole, since it'll be a lot easier to grind stuff up moving forward throughout this patch whenever it drops, and through every future patch when there's big content dropping like new Descendants or new ultimate weapons. Next up on the list, we have disposing of leftover items. Next is an update on items that are piling up in your consumables. There is currently no way to dispose blueprints for Descendants and weapons that you've already completed, so there are cases where players are getting multiple copies of blueprints they already own during the farming process. We've been listening to the community who have told us that there needs to be a way to dispose of these unwanted items. While we could consider simply converting them into some gold or Kuiper, we want to reward you with more value for the time you've put into the game. To resolve this, the dev team is planning a system to dismantle leftover items to get byproducts and a rotating shop system where you can exchange the byproduct for something of value. This will allow the items you obtain to have a greater value in the game. So if I'm reading this correctly, basically what they want to do is all the blueprints that you can't use anymore because you already have the item, or maybe you just don't want to build the said item so you want to get rid of it, you'll be able to now dismantle them in a coming update and earn a sort of currency. This currency will be able to be used in an exclusive shop, more than likely somewhere on Albion, which will have a rotating process of goods that'll change either bi-weekly or every other day. I'm assuming what these items are going to be, since they're going to be valuable items as they say, it's most likely going to be a rotating store of blueprints that you can buy, ranging from something as simple as nanotubes for a weapon, or a part like an ultimate stabilizer or ultimate code for someone like Ultimate Glayer Bunny. If this is the case, I think this would be amazing. adding another RNG element to the game to kind of get stuff passively while also getting rid of stuff that you've been farming up that you don't necessarily need or want throughout the game and farming. Overall, I think this is going to be a huge W and not only allow us a way to get rid of the stuff clouding up our inventory, but also be a way for us to build up a new currency and be able to build and buy things for stuff that we're currently farming or want to farm up in the near future. Next on up on the list of their comments is supporting build diversity. It's a lot of fun for us to see the variety of builds being posted in the community lately. We love seeing you try so many different builds and are amazed by the unexpected ways you've evolved them. We hope for more builds to exist in the First Descendant, and we want an environment where players are free to experiment with different builds. However, we found that it is difficult to take advantage of loadouts after assigning socket types, which goes against our goal of experimenting with different builds freely. As a result, the dev team is planning to provide an environment where completely different builds can be created by assigning each loadout with different socket types. We hope this will help you experiment with different builds without feeling overwhelmed. This part in particular sounds even more amazing and something that I thought they would never do. If I'm reading this correctly, essentially what they're saying is once you crystallization catalyst a certain socket type into your either descendant or weapon, that slot is now limited into what you're actually going to put into it. Because why would you put a non-correlating socket type into that said socket? From what I'm gathering from the supporting build diversity piece here, a descendant and a weapon have 3 loadout tabs at the very top when you're going ahead and asphyxiating modules. I think what's going to happen is that now, depending on which slot you're in, if you've gone ahead and crystallization catalyst the weapon or descendant in question, you will now be able to change whatever the socket type is going to belong to those modules in those different respective tabs for your descendant and weapons moving forward, allowing you to carry over your crystallization catalyst without having to respec the crystallization catalyst and use more of them up if new builds come along or you want to try something new. Which means that the crystallization catalyst farm is going to get astronomically better for every player in the First Descendant, and just chalks up yet another W for Nexon moving forward. Last but definitely not least, they touch on balancing for the game. Finally, some news about balancing. We are seeing a dominance of the skill damage focus builds of some Descendants. Descendants and weapons that are well suited for these builds are quite popular now. We want the meta builds to change from season to season, and we want the descendants and weapons that are effective in new content to be different from the ones in previous seasons. Also, we're looking to increase the proportion of firearm-based combat in the endgame. Now, to be frank, I think this is a great idea, although I think it's going to rub some people the wrong way. If you don't have a lot of time to actually put into this game, and let's just say towards the middle of the update, you get your build rolling, you start getting into the meta, and you're finally at the end game of that season, built up to where you want it to be. You've got a fully maxed out character and a fully maxed out weapon, and then bam, the season ends, we go into a new one, and now the meta that you built up is completely useless. I'm curious to see as to how the community is going to take something like that, and as to how drastic the meta shifts are actually going to be when going season to season. In terms of actually making firearm-based damage more effective in the endgame, I love that idea. Personally, when I play some of the wave-based modes to go ahead and level up my descendants, I actually like how the gunplay feels in the game. And I would love to feel and see more of it on the gameplay side of things when it comes to going against Void Intercept bosses and other endgame content. They continue on with saying, we can't promise that all descendants and weapons will be equally balanced at all times, but our goal is to keep changing the effective builds. To that end, we promise to make constant adjustments and offer different ways to play with new content. We aim to implement the improvements I talked about today during Seasons 1 and Season 2. Your feedback means a lot to the dev team. We'll do our best to provide a better experience as we build the game together, and we'll continue to listen to you as we strive to make the First Descendant even better. Thank you. And guys, I just have to say this, every time I read one of these director's additional comments, it genuinely feels like this director and Nexon as a whole care about their community and game. They're listening to feedback, they're trying to implement stuff. Even something like the drop rate improvement plans, they don't have to do that. This is a grindy looter shooter where you're trying to get the best loot over repetitions of missions. They don't have to make it easier for us. In general, it would actually be better if it's not, so that way we would want to chill out and actually pull out our wallets to get to items instead. But instead of doing that, they're actually going ahead and trying to make things easier and better for us from a gameplay perspective and a grinding perspective. And for that, Nexon, when it comes to the First Descendant, they have my utmost respect. It genuinely doesn't just sound like they care about us, but it feels like it. And with stuff like the drop rate improvement plans, what they plan to do with the disposing of leftover items in our consumables inventory, and how they want to balance the game moving forward in terms of builds, gunplay, and how powerful everything is when it comes to meta gameplay, it just genuinely feels like they want this game to stick around for a while, and they're passionate about creating not only a good game for their community, but a good community for their game. And again, for that, they have my utmost respect. I'm curious to see what you guys actually think about everything that we listed off at the bottom of the patch notes for 1.0.5. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section down below, as I'm genuinely curious as to what you guys think about what they want to do with the gunplay, and with what they were saying with meta shifting from season to season. That's it from me, guys, but again, if you guys want me to go ahead and cover the entirety of the patch notes, let me know down in the comment section down below, and if enough of you guys request it, I'll go ahead and get cracking on it. Also, if you want to improve your drop rate today, with anything listed for recon missions or infiltration operations as additional rewards, go ahead and check out this video that's on screen, which will be linked down in the description below, that will help you improve your drop rates today. And guys, if you found this video informational or entertaining, make sure to go ahead and scroll down and hit that thumbs up and make it glow, as it would help me out tremendously. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!